Modern work is basically slavery with a salary, and your chains are kind of invisible. Your prison has walls of routine, and the only freedom you get is the illusion of choice. And nobody really talks about this. Like, I'm just mystified that I'm the only one who talks about these sort of things. Nobody else seems to be talking about it, but after 20 years of working in soul-crushing companies, I've had enough. I need to speak my mind. Okay, let's get into this. It's gonna be a good one today, guys. So, we were told that we're free, that we choose to work, that if we just work hard enough, we can live a good life. But what if that's a lie? What if this system was never designed to give us freedom, but to keep us trapped? Like, think about it. You wake up, you go to work, you trade your time all day for money, you come home exhausted, and do it all again the next day. And maybe you get 2 days off, but even then, your mind is still stuck in work mode, waiting for Monday. And you have just enough to survive, but never enough to escape. That's not freedom, that's wage slavery. And people say, hey, you can just quit. But quit and do what? The system is built so you have to work just to exist. Rent, food, medical bills, it's all designed to keep you dependent. This isn't new, by the way. This goes way back. People weren't always forced into jobs like this. There was a time when people lived off the land, working for themselves and controlled their own time. So how the hell did we get here? That's the question we should be asking. You know, the history books, they won't tell you this, but people have been manipulated into working for others for thousands of years. Let's go back all the way to, I don't know, I think my subscribers know where I'm going with this. Ancient Egypt. I'm sorry I keep bringing this up, but they say that pyramids were built by workers, not slaves. But does it really matter whether they were paid in bread or chained in place? They were tricked somehow into building these monuments for powerful people while they lived in poverty. Doesn't that sound kind of familiar to you? Because if we fast forward, the Industrial Revolution, this is when things really changed. Before this, most people worked on their own land or in small trades. They worked hard, but at least they owned what they created. Then factories took over, and suddenly people were forced off their land and into cities to work for wages. And why? Because the land that they lived on for generations was bought up by the rich, leaving them no choice. And they called this progress, but for who? The workers who spent 14 hours a day in dangerous conditions, the children who worked in coal mines, the people who had no real choice but to work or starve. And here's the kicker. When the rich saw that people might resist, they made something really genius. They didn't force people to work. They convinced them that working was the right thing to do. They made it a moral duty. They created schools to teach kids how to obey authority, show up on time, and follow orders. Basically, how to be good little workers. The 40-hour work week, it wasn't created for freedom, it was designed for productivity. A system that runs on your labor, squeezing as much as it can out of you before replacing you. And when they don't need you anymore, they'll just toss you aside like nothing happened. Just look at history. In 2008, the financial crash, millions of people lost their jobs overnight and banks got bailed out. In 2020, companies fired thousands while CEOs made record profits. In 2022, tech companies laid off tens of thousands in cost-cutting measures while their executives got bonuses. This system is not for you. So, what is the answer? Just quitting, it isn't enough. The system makes sure that you can't survive without playing the game, but there are ways to escape. The first step is seeing the trap. That's what they don't want you to do. They want you to keep running in circles, thinking if you just work harder, you'll get ahead in life. But the game is rigged. Like in the Matrix, most people don't even realize that they're trapped. They think they're making choices when in reality, every path leads back to the same system. And Fight Club had it right all along. You are not your job. You are not how much money you have in the bank. But society wants you to believe that. They want you to define yourself by your work because that keeps you in line. And that's exactly what happens in the workplace. You can argue about wages, benefits, and work from home policies, but the one thing you can't question is the system itself. If you really want freedom, you have to create it. And that means finding ways to make money without selling all your time. Learning skills that let you work for yourself, not a corporation. Avoiding debt traps that keep you working just to pay interest. Realizing that you're not your job and your worth isn't measured by your productivity. Because here's the truth. Your boss's dream vacation is paid by the hours you traded away. Every hour you sell is an hour you could be investing in yourself. The system isn't broken. It was built this way to keep you working, consuming, and never questioning. But you can question it. And once you see the truth, there is no going back. If you enjoy the content that I create and want to help me keep going, consider supporting me on Patreon. It's $5 a month and you get special access to tutorials and extra content, and your name will be in the end credits of all of my videos. As always, thank you for listening. Do me a favor and tap that like button to show your support. Subscribe if you're interested in more. Until next time, stay hungry, relentless, and strong in your journey of escaping wage slavery. Bye. Oh, you're still here. Oh, that's right. It's the behind the scenes vlog. So this segment of the video is where I share more personal things. It's mostly for my subscribers, but if you're new here, you're more than welcome to stick around. So things are good. Me and my wife were walking every weekend with our dog. Life is good. The weather is in Sweden right now is just fantastic. The waters in the south of Sweden where I live, they're like magical. They're like really tropical, and it's just so different from Stockholm, where I grew up. Now, you might not know this because I rarely mention it, but I actually do have a newsletter. It's a kind of a quick and dirty solution. It's not a real newsletter per se. How it works is I have this blog where I post these articles that I base my videos on. Whenever I make a new video, I start with a script, and that script always gets posted on that blog at the same time. And what's cool about the blog is that if you subscribe, you actually get an email with the latest blog post when it's posted. So if you would prefer to read my content, that is the best way to do so. Now, the idea behind this video, it was sort of to take a big step back and look at this whole wage slavery problem from a different perspective. Because wage slavery is a problem because it keeps us from what we really want. But there is a hazy line between freedom and success. Success is usually something that seems connected to hustle culture. And my definition is inner peace and happiness. And to make that go hand in hand with escaping wage slavery, it's kind of tricky. But it is the right path, even if it takes longer. But I'm going to be honest about this one. Being happy, it's so hard for me, and it's not because of my experience with depression. It's just very difficult because my brain is so wired to constantly create. I see what works, what doesn't. I can't turn that off, and I wish I could just sit on a couch and do nothing, but it's just not in me. And people who do that without feeling guilty, honestly, I'm genuinely jealous of those people. And I often tell this story about someone that I used to work with like many years ago. He was, how do I say this in a nice way? His IQ wasn't the highest, okay? But he absolutely dominated in the happiness game. He had such a simple outlook on life. The only thing he needed to be happy was to get home every day to his wife and kid. And I could see it in his eyes. And it was really everything he needed. Sadly, and obviously, he was of course fired. Now isn't that typical? But I will never forget him. He really inspired me despite being a bit dumb. But since then, I keep seeing him in my head like he's the definition of success when it comes to happiness. And so in a way, I think I'm the dumb one if you think about it. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.